Welcome to another Railfan Dan production. Enjoy this intro. Sometimes people say trains look like snakes, and that's exactly the kind of scenes you can find on the climb up and down Providence Hill in eastern Washington. The BNSF Lakeside Subdivision is one of the busiest corridors between the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest. We are starting at Hatton, Washington with a westbound BNSF grain train in the morning sunlight. The beginning of spring is slightly showing itself here with a hint of green along the Hatton Coulee and the hills beyond. Subscribe and hit the bell if you're enjoying so far. A loaded westbound coal train was right behind the grain train, and we also caught it at Hatton. This day, I was fortunate to have two railfan friends join me, Jason and Harley. It is extremely rare that I railfan with anyone else, but it was fun for a change this day. Right in the middle of Hatton is the switch for the west end of the double-track mainline that runs up and over Providence Hill. It's about 20 miles of double-track mainline between here and Lind, which helps keep traffic moving up and over the hill, which has a grade on both sides. Providence is the summit of the hill itself, but many rail fans use the term Providence Hill for the section between here and Lind, which is what this video will encompass. Later in the morning is an eastbound auto-rack train just east of Cunningham. Cunningham is just a few miles east of Hatton. It's about a 1% grade eastbound uphill on the west side of Providence Hill, and this train was noticeably doing battle with the grade. Not that 1% is much of a grade, but a train like this is one that BNSF gives just barely enough power to conquer such a grade. This train just has one unit on the front and one on the rear. Looking like a snake along these curves. We've got a wannabe steam engine bringing up the rear. I was able to add some locomotive sound here. Now coming up on the summit of Providence itself is the same eastbound autorack train. This train will crest the summit less than a mile ahead. If you look close, you can see a double crossover set of switches on the other side of the grade crossing. This curve with the rock face is right at the summit of Providence Hill. I'm getting another snaking feeling here. That little hint of spring green in the fields is a nice touch. Much of the year there is zero green and it is all yellow and brown. Obviously, something is not quite right with this unit, but like other rail fans, I too enjoy a good smoke show. It wasn't too much of a wait for this eastbound grain train to show up next. The crest of Providence Summit is just beyond that curve the train is appearing from. This is now the east side of the summit and they are starting their descent toward Lind. Most of their descent is between 0.9 and 0.6%. A snake indeed, my favorite set of curves along the hill. This grain train is empty. Westbound grain trains are loaded and eastbound are empty, returning mostly to the Midwest to load up again. exact same spot we left the eastbound grain train is now a westbound grain train only about 5 minutes later. This is what some of us call a super grain train, or technically a double grain train. It's two full unit grain trains coupled together for one giant 200+ car train. It's a good show here to watch one of these climb Providence Hill, and this one represents a whole bunch of railroads, as you will see. You are now seeing half, or the first whole set, of the train with a 4-pack of mid-DPU units back to the left. Definitely looking like a snake here. A quick buzz of the guy behind the camera. And a nice pack of mid-DPUs this is. The recent takeover of the Montana Rail Link is becoming more apparent as their SD70 units are starting to regularly make their way out of Montana. Finally, we get the view of the rear of this massive train. Some Eastern power even made its way into this train in the form of the rear Norfolk Southern unit. Trains like this are impressive to witness, but for the record, I'm actually not a fan of the reason they operate them. They do this to reduce the amount of crews needed to run trains over routes, but in my opinion, the railroad is just asking for trouble by doing this. For one, these trains will almost fit into no sidings on a single track main line when needed to meet other trains, so everything has to be planned around these trains, and no conductor is going to want to walk 4+ plus miles of train if something were to go wrong. It really doesn't seem like a smart way to run a railroad, but what do I know? I'm just a foamer. We have now made it to Lind on the east side of the hill, where we will watch another westbound grain train. Here you can now see the east switch of the double track main line we have been following this whole time. A very neat section of railroad here. These bridge pillars here are the remnant of the Milwaukee Railroad and their Pacific Extension route. This rail line has been gone for a long time now, but this is a neat piece of structure that still remains. This BNSF line was built by the Northern Pacific, and both them and the Milwaukee Road spent a lot of time paralleling each other in different places all throughout the West in their goal to reach the Pacific Northwest. The Milwaukee was the last railroad to reach the Northwest and unfortunately was the first to be torn up. Next was an eastbound hot Z train on the east end of Lind. I know some of these shots have not been in favor with the sun, but I'm always pretty impressed with how the cameras deal with backlit shots, and I enjoy seeing how I can improve them even more in the editing process. Right behind the Z train was an empty oil train at the same location. This is now the third train with a Norfolk Southern unit. Again now at the same spot is a westbound coal train shortly after the eastbound oil train. We then decided to run back up to the summit at Providence to watch the same loaded coal train snake up and over. If you look close, you can see the old Milwaukee road grade below on the other side of the valley. If you've enjoyed this video, then consider helping the channel out with a super thanks donation via the thanks button on the bottom of the video. It tremendously helps to continue bringing you quality content like this, but please also do not feel obligated to do so. Your viewership is all the support I could hope for. Thanks for watching, and check out more videos on my channel of cinematic trains.